My dad needed $1 million for cancer treatment, but I was using his life-saving money to travel abroad. The day I returned, I was shopping at the shopping mall. My mom found me, grabbed my hand, and wept bitterly, begging me, "Ashley, please save your father. He's your own father, he raised you from a child. Are you really going to watch him die?" Her eyes were full of hope. After all, I had won a $10 million lottery not long ago, and I certainly didn't lack that $1 million. But I refused without hesitation. "I have no money." Then I turned and picked up a purse that cost $1 million. "Please wrap this bag up for me." I handed my card to the salesperson. My mom was stunned, and then tears gushed out. She rushed over and knelt in front of me, repeatedly kowtowing. "Just take it as your mom begging you, okay? Mom is begging you. Mom is begging you." The sound of her head hitting the floor was loud, and when she looked up again, her forehead was broken and blood was seeping out. Her cries were so miserable that even passers-by in the shopping mall couldn't help but stop and watch, casting sympathetic glances at her. But I clicked my tongue in annoyance. "Can't you understand human language? I said I have no money." My mom was stunned. She pointed at the bag with a trembling finger and questioned, "Why you say you have no money, but then how can you afford this bag? This bag costs $1 million. That's the same as your father's treatment fee. Is a bag more important than your father's life? Ashley, I have never asked you for anything, but this time I'm kneeling and begging you. Please, save your father." I ignored her and continued to try on other bags. The expensive bags matched my designer coat very well, and I stood in front of the mirror taking selfies. The salesperson stood beside me, praising how beautiful I looked. I was happy for a moment and took a few $100s out of my bag for her. Tip. Seeing how indifferent I was, my mom couldn't bear it any longer. She got up from the ground and slapped me. Her hands were trembling, and tears streamed down her face as she looked at me in disbelief. "You have disappointed me so much. Do you even know what your father looks like now? He has no money for treatment, no money to pay for hospitalization, and the hospital kicked him out into the hallway." The surrounding people, with the mentality of not being afraid of a lively scene, crowded around, surrounding my mom and me. Several enthusiastic female college students even stepped forward to support my mom, fearing she would faint. I calmly smoothed my hair and handed the bag in my hand to the salesperson. "Wrap this one up too." The salesperson was about to take the bag when my mom stopped her. "Girl! You can't sell it to her. That's her father's life-saving money. You can't even imagine what her father has been suffering from this illness." She took out her phone and opened a video for the people around her to watch. In the video, my father was thin and haggard, his hair had fallen out, and he was sitting blankly in the hospital corridor, crying helplessly. He said in a hoarse voice, "Honey, don't make things difficult for Ashley. It doesn't matter if this old bone of mine is gone. Just leave the $1 million for Ashley, she is our only daughter after all." After speaking, my father coughed up blood, which splattered on his blue and white striped hospital gown. Some soft-hearted students were already shedding tears. The salesperson was in a dilemma, looking at me with a tangled and unbearable expression. "Miss, maybe this bag." I rolled my eyes and turned to look at her. "You're here to sell things, not to do charity. It's none of your business how I spend my money. I'm a VIP customer here. If you don't wrap it up for me quickly, I'm going to complain about you." Hearing that I was going to report her, the salesperson's face turned pale. She bowed and apologized to me, then quickly wrapped the bag and gave it to me. I took the bag and looked down at my mom, with undisguised disgust on my face. It's his fate. What can I do? Besides, let him die. He said it himself, it doesn't matter if this old bone of his is gone, he wants to leave all the money for me to spend. Don't yell here, it's embarrassing. Go home. My mom grabbed the corner of my clothes tightly, her eyes were about to burst, and she asked me in a trembling voice, "Ashley, Mom remembers that you won $10 million in the lottery not long ago. You don't lack this $1 million at all. Why won't you save your father?" I impatiently shook off my sleeves and yelled at her, "Can you stop pulling me? Your hands are so dirty. This is my new designer coat. Can you afford to ruin it? Besides, the fact that I won $10 million means I have a blessed life. My dad got cancer because he doesn't have a blessed life. People should accept their fate. Why should I use my money to save him?" After speaking, I patted the place where my mom had just grabbed me and turned to leave, but the enthusiastic people around me held me back. "You're not allowed to leave. You're such a beast. How can you talk to your mom like that? Yeah. What an ungrateful wretch. You won $10 million but won't take out $1 million to treat your father. I've never seen such an unconscionable person." Exactly. And you still have the nerve to buy a bag here. If I remember correctly, the first bag she took was $1 million, right? In her eyes, her own father's life is not as important as her bag. Perhaps not expecting me to be so heartless, my mom's eyes went dark, her body swayed, and she almost fainted. She steadied herself, knelt on the ground, and crawled towards me, grabbing my pants leg with trembling hands, and begging me in a hoarse voice, "Ashley, just take it as your mom begging you. Your dad and I have raised you for over 20 years, please save your father for the sake of our upbringing. At worst, we'll treat this money as a loan. After your dad gets better, we will definitely find a way to pay you back. Even if I sweep the streets or pick up trash, I will definitely find a way to pay you back. Just take it as your mom begging you, Mom will kowtow to you." A biological mother kowtowing to her daughter, and saying she would borrow her daughter's money to treat her father. Everyone present was moved and began to wipe the tears from their eyes. She was about to kowtow when the students behind her stopped her. "Auntie, don't do this." "Yes, we've already called the police. Let's see what she has to say when the police arrive. People who are so unfilial should be struck by lightning." I raised my hand and looked at my watch, and asked in a cold voice, "Are you done? Can you let me go if you are done? I have an appointment at the beauty salon this afternoon. If you delay my time, will you compensate me?" My indifference deeply hurt my mom's heart. She cried and beat me, her voice full of grief. "You beast! Our family wasn't well off, but your food, clothing, and everything else was always the best. Your dad couldn't bear to buy a new pair of shoes for years, but he saved money on food and clothing to buy you designer goods, just because he was afraid that people would look down on you when you went to the city to study. When you were sick and in poor health as a child, your dad and I begged people for help door to door to treat you. You were sick for several years, and Mom asked people everywhere online for help and finally managed to cure you. Now that you have 10 million, you refuse to take out 1 million to save your father. You have disappointed me so much. If I had known this would happen, I would have wished I had never given birth to you." I was silent. What my mom said was indeed true. I had been in poor health since I was a child, and I had been able to grow up thanks to her and my dad's careful care. To give me an egg to eat, my dad worked in the fields day and night. In a place where every family favored sons, only my family treated their daughter like a treasure and even borrowed money to send me to school in the city. It can be said that I have such a good life now because of them. My silence made everyone think that things had taken a turn for the better. So, under their expectant gaze, I kicked my mom in the shoulder. "You old hag, didn't I tell you not to touch me? You're so dirty." I glared at the crowd around me. "If you feel sorry for him, then you should pay to save him. $1 million is not a small amount. Don't try to morally blackmail me here." I pushed the crowd away and strode away. My mom was about to get up from the ground to chase me when she received a call from the hospital. She trembled as she turned on the speakerphone, and the doctor's heavy voice came out. Patient George Miller just passed away. Please come to the hospital as soon as possible to handle the follow-up matters. My mom couldn't hold on any longer, she cried out in despair and fainted. Hearing the news of my dad's death, I didn't know whether to be excited or happy. I left without looking back and took a taxi to the beauty salon. Because my dad was dead, my mom wouldn't bother me for that $1 million anymore. So, I was in a great mood. I not only got a beauty treatment but also spent thousands of dollars to get my nails done and posted it online. The netizens in the comments section were all scolding me. It was then that I realized that the scene at the shopping mall today had been filmed and posted online. The video quickly climbed to the top of the trending searches in a short period of time. Netizens who watched the video all hated my ruthlessness and indifference, and felt sorry for my parents' tragic experience. Some even spontaneously wanted to donate money for my parents. A netizen who was also in the hospital posted a video of my parents. In the video, my mom was crying bitterly on my dad's body, and netizens used a poem to describe my mom. The cuckoo cries blood, the ape wails. Every cry is of blood, every word pierces the heart, making those who hear it weep and those who listen grieve. I also clicked on that topic and posted a few photos with my Weibo account. In the photos, there was the mansion I spent millions to buy. There I was, wearing designer clothes, eating expensive fruit, and watching a movie. Even my dog was dressed very exquisitely and eating the most expensive steak. My happy life was in stark contrast to my parents' misery. Netizens flocked to my Weibo and cursed me with the dirtiest words. Some even photoshopped my photos into memorial portraits as their avatars. Watching their anger, I smiled and poured myself a glass of red wine. Go ahead, the bigger the fuss, the more exciting it will be when they know the truth. A few days later, a program team invited me to be on a show. It was a family mediation program, and my mom took the initiative to contact the program team. I didn't refuse and readily agreed. On the day of the show, I specially wore my new designer dress, carried an LV bag, and dressed up gorgeously. My mom, on the other hand, was in rags, with dull eyes, disheveled hair, and holding my dad's urn, unable to stop crying. She looked at me with despair in her eyes and said in a hoarse voice, "Ashley, we are mother and daughter after all. I don't want to take you to court, so Mom can only express her demands through this program. Mom doesn't want you to support me in the future. I just want you to return the money that your dad and I spent on you over the past 20 years. I fiddled with my nails, looking indifferent, and didn't answer her. The host couldn't stand it any longer and questioned me, suppressing his anger. Ashley. Yesterday, our program team went to your village to ask the villagers. They all said that your parents treated you very well, cherishing you like the apple of their eye, afraid of you breaking in their hands or melting in their mouths. Even when you were seriously ill as a child, your parents begged people for help door to door, even kneeling to netizens in live broadcasts, asking them to save you. Why are you so indifferent, watching your own father die without money for treatment, while you live in a mansion and enjoy extravagant meals?" Hearing the host's words, I couldn't help but be lost in thought. He was right, my parents were really good to me. I never had to work in the fields since I was a child. While other girls were promised to others as daughters-in-law early on, I was able to dress beautifully and go to school in the city. When I wanted to work part-time in college, my parents told me that I should enjoy college life and not tire myself out, and even gave me $2,000 a month for living expenses. When someone bullied me when I was a child, they would chase them for 2 miles with a broom. Even if I scratched my skin, my mom would shed tears in distress. I once thought that I was the happiest child in the world, but I never expected. Seeing that I didn't speak, my mom rolled up her sleeves, revealing the hideous scars on her wrist. She said with tears in her eyes, "Our Ashley has been in poor health since she was a child. For a while, she had a strange disease and didn't get better for a week. We went to many hospitals but it was useless. My old man and I went to the western village to ask a sorceress for a prescription, using human blood as medicine for the child to drink. I cut my wrist for a week in a row to give Ashley medicine, and she slowly got better. She hugged the urn tightly, and tears fell like large beads. Immediately afterward, the program team projected a video on the big screen. It was recorded by my dad himself before he died. In the video, his eyes were full of despair, but he still tried his best to force a smile to face the camera. My daughter is the apple of my eye, my lifeline. If I die, I hope no one will blame my daughter. She must have unspeakable secrets and things she can't say. Ashley, Dad loves you, you must take care of yourself. The hoarse and old voice was mixed with violent coughing. The audience present shed tears, and there were sobs one after another. But I couldn't help but laugh. Seeing that I was laughing without conscience, all the audience started scolding me. My mom spoke at the right time. Over the years, my dad and I have invested countless amounts in you, but I only want $500,000 from you. $500,000 is not enough to buy one of your bags, but it can buy out our mother-daughter relationship. From now on, you don't have to support me, and I won't look for you again. The host looked at me, waiting for me to speak. I smoothed my hair, and under everyone's shocked gaze, I smiled and said, "No, I don't have money." As soon as these words came out, the whole place was in an uproar. The program was broadcast live, and comments from netizens in the live broadcast room were projected on the big screen. "What a beast! I really want to slap her. Is there anyone who supports me? Let's form a group to beat her up. I really feel sorry for her parents. How did they raise such an ungrateful wretch? This kind of scum of society should have been strangled to death at birth. This bitch is still laughing. The way she's laughing makes me want to rush over and tear her mouth apart." The audience below the stage was even more excited, and a few impulsive people even climbed onto the stage to hit me. "Don't move. We are the police." Several police officers from backstage rushed onto the stage and surrounded my mom and me. Those audience members also took out things they didn't want and started throwing them at me. "Yes. It's good that the police are here. Quickly arrest this conscienceless beast. I suggest executing this beast. It's really disgusting. This kind of person should be cut into pieces. Death is not enough to atone for her sins." Watching them scold me more and more vigorously, I couldn't help but laugh. The whole stage echoed with my wanton laughter. I closed my eyes and let tears slide down the corners of my eyes. I have endured for so long, and finally the day has come when the truth will be revealed. This should all end. Under everyone's expectant gaze, the police showed my mom their credentials. "Madam, we have received a real name report that you are suspected of child abduction, intentional injury, and conspiracy to murder. Please come with us to the police station." My mom's face turned pale instantly, her eyes were full of dodging, and she stammered to explain, "I didn't, police officer, there's a misunderstanding, police officer." Exclamations rang out from the audience. "Police officer? Have you arrested the wrong person? This woman is the one you should be arresting." "Yes, this aunt is very pitiful, her husband just died, and her daughter refuses to support her." My mom cried and rushed over, pulling my arm and shaking it hard. "Ashley! How can you do this? How can you slander me like this?" I looked at her coldly as she went crazy, and opened my mouth word by word. "Are you sure you're my biological mother?" I took out a paternity test from my bag and handed it to the police. The paternity test shows that I have no blood relationship with Brenda Miller. Brenda Miller didn't deny it, letting tears fall all over her face, and she sighed and explained, "That's right, Ashley, you're indeed not our biological daughter. 20 years ago, your dad and I picked you up at the edge of town. You were so small at the time, wrapped in a blanket, lying alone next to the trash can. When we found you, your little face was frozen blue and purple, and you were almost out of breath. It was your dad and I who held you and rushed to the city hospital overnight and spent a lot of money to save your life. Is that why you didn't save your dad? Even if you're not our biological daughter, we're kinder to you than our own." I buried my head and laughed. but tears fell involuntarily. "Brenda Miller, are you sure you picked me up at the edge of town? The grace of upbringing is greater than the grace of birth." If it was really as she said, how could I not care about my dad? I wish I could stay by their side every day and be filial to them. But the truth is unbelievable. I wasn't picked up by them. I was abducted by them. I found out about this secret quite by chance. After I started working and left my hometown, I was always worried about my parents being at home, so I secretly installed surveillance cameras at home to see what they were doing. As a result, I accidentally recorded their conversation. Brenda Miller was lying on the sofa eating melon seeds, with a mean and sarcastic look on her face. "This damn girl, how can sending back such a small amount of money every month be enough to spend? Only $5,000 isn't enough for me to buy a few clothes." George Miller snorted coldly and poured himself a glass of wine. "We originally wanted to abduct her to be our son's wife. If our son hadn't been unlucky enough to fall into the river and drown, how could it be her turn to live a life of luxury? If you ask me, she's the one who brought bad luck to our son. Girls are just cheap things, and even if we abduct them, we can't sell them." I had already given this recording to the program team and asked them to play it here and pause. 20 years ago, my biological mother was holding me in the village, basking in the sun. George Miller and his wife set their sights on me while I was sleeping. They pretended to be blind people who needed someone to lead the way, gained my mom's trust, and then led my mom away from the door. Then, taking advantage of her inattention, they covered my mom's mouth and nose with an ether-soaked handkerchief, picked me up, and took me to the car. When my mom woke up, she couldn't find me. Surveillance cameras were not common in those years, and even if she called the police, she couldn't find the whereabouts of the traffickers. My mom was devastated and her hair turned white overnight. From that day on, my whole family embarked on the road to finding me. They traveled to almost a dozen provinces, and flyers searching for me were posted on every corner of the streets. In order to find me, they went bankrupt and had no choice but to sell their car and house. Until one day, my brother was unfortunately in a car accident while looking for me. Losing her daughter and son, my mom couldn't bear it any longer and jumped off the building. Although my dad endured and didn't follow my mom, he also froze to death on the streets on a winter night in the second year after my mom died. When he died, he was still clutching my missing person notice tightly in his hand. All this was told to me by my Aunt Carol. I finally found my parents, but all I saw were two black and white framed photos. My Aunt Carol and I hugged each other and cried, and she told me all the difficulties my parents had gone through to find me over the years. Brenda Miller and George Miller had ruined my family. How could I not hate them? Brenda Miller's face was pale, and she staggered towards me, kneeling at my feet and sobbing, "It's all a misunderstanding. Ashley, you misunderstood your dad and me. If we had abducted you, how could we have treated you like our own daughter? Do you remember when you were sick that year, your dad and I begged people for help everywhere, begging them to save your life?" "I remember," I interrupted her in a deep voice. "I remember that it was winter, and one day I woke up with a high fever and was bedridden with a serious illness. My parents went everywhere to beg people for money to see a doctor for me, and also filmed videos of themselves kneeling and kowtowing online, asking netizens to donate money for me. They would even cut their wrists and use blood to feed me medicine. These things lingered in my mind. I was caught in a fierce struggle. They did abduct me, but they were also good to me. What should I do? Until the day I won the lottery, I went home and drank with them. I wanted to talk to them about this. But I didn't expect that George Miller and Brenda Miller would reveal the truth about my illness when they were drunk. Ashley, if it weren't for your mom and I being smart back then, do you think you would be living a life of being served?" George Miller patted my shoulder hard and looked at me with a smug look. "You don't even know how much money we got from the donations. More than selling you off for betrothal gifts." That year, I had been feeling unwell for 2 or 3 days, and Brenda Miller took me to see a doctor in local town, but thought the medicine was too expensive. So, she just bought some fake medicine to feed me. She said, "Anyway, it's all medicine. The one I spend real money on is real medicine. What's fake or not? If she dies from it, it's just her bad luck. After taking the fake medicine, I was bedridden, and it happened that my mom was browsing the internet and saw a video of a mother holding her child and asking netizens for donations. An idea flashed in her mind, and she realized that she could make money through this method. So, she held me and borrowed money from door to door, and then posted the videos of borrowing money online to make netizens sympathize. She even filmed videos of cutting her hands and letting blood into the medicine, forcing me to drink the bloody soup. At first, they used their own blood, but later it became chicken blood, duck blood, and pig blood. I often couldn't stand the fishy smell and she would pinch me while forcing me to drink. But these scenes often made netizens cry non-stop. They not only donated money online, but many netizens even came from thousands of miles away to personally hand over the money to them, and also brought many gifts. She tasted the sweetness and didn't want me to get better. She fed me fake medicine for a year until people started to suspect, and then she sent me to a big hospital for examination and cured my illness. Brenda Miller pinched my face and said through gritted teeth, "You damn girl, if I hadn't been kind-hearted back then and sent you to a big hospital for examination, you would have died a long time ago. You should be grateful and spend all the money you won in the lottery for me." George Miller also echoed, chewing the peanuts in his mouth with a cracking sound, "Yes. After you get the bonus, deposit it all into the cards of your mom and me, and then I will find you a good family to marry. The bride price will be at least $300,000. Brenda Miller nudged George Miller's arm with her elbow, her eyes full of shimmering light. "Hey, isn't the old Wong family's idiot son looking for a stepmother for those 2 children? I heard that the old Wong family promised to give 2 apartments and $400,000 in betrothal gifts." She hooked my neck and said with a grin, "You quit your job and put the $10 million with your dad and me, and then honestly marry into the village chief's family, and learn how to be a good wife and mother. They're all from the same village, they won't treat you badly." I was trembling with anger. The first wife of the old Wong family's idiot son was also abducted, and she jumped into the river and committed suicide after giving birth, leaving behind a pair of children who were also mentally unstable, drooling under the tree every day, and that idiot son was staring at women's butts on the side of the road every day, wishing he could touch them. I didn't expect that they not only wanted to take my money, but also wanted to squeeze out the last bit of value from me. This video was released, and the direction of the audience and the live broadcast room completely changed. Everyone started to stand up for me. Some people even found the video of my mom filming me taking medicine that year and reposted it. In the video, my eyes were vacant, resisting that bowl of bloody soup, and in the end, Brenda Miller forced it into my mouth while crying. "Oh my God, look, she's not willing at all. Look how painful her expression is. I'm someone who hates the fishy smell of blood curd. I can't imagine what it's like for her to drink such a bowl of bloody soup. I can smell the fishy smell even through the screen. Too disgusting. I take back what I said about scolding her before. This girl is really pitiful. Not only was she abducted, but she was also used and forced to make money, and her parents even wanted to marry her off to an idiot." Seeing that everyone was starting to side with me, my mom started to panic. She hugged my leg and cried, "Ashley, these were all your dad's ideas. You know that I'm a woman, and I have no say at all at home. I can't resist whatever your dad says. And we didn't marry you off to the old Wong family's idiot son, did we? Those were all just drunken words from your dad and me. You're someone we watched grow up. How could we send you into a wolf's den? Even if you're not our child, we really did treat you like our own daughter. Otherwise, why wouldn't we have married you off for a bride price earlier, instead of sending you to school? If it weren't for your father and me, would you have gotten into college and found a good job?" I just quietly watched her begging people for help on the ground, tears streaming down her face, a wave of bitterness washing over me. I remembered back in the village, they always doted on me, taking me to the corner store to buy candy. While other girls were working in the fields, they let me go to school. Even when I was disobedient and didn't understand things, they wouldn't hit me but would silently stay by my side. I was the child they raised with their own hands, the one they sent to the halls of university. I once thought I was the happiest child in the world, with the best parents. Later, I realized they weren't doing it out of love. It was because Brenda Miller used my poor health to gain sympathy, and many internet users started paying attention to me. They were putting on a show to create a persona, so they treated me so well. Deep down, they hated me, thinking I had cursed their son to death, but they couldn't do anything about me, their cash cow. Fortunately, I lived up to their expectations, basically bringing back scholarship money every time and even working part-time on weekends after getting into college. They started feeling smug, thinking they had given me everything. While I was working my back to the bone as a waitress on weekends, they were using the donations from internet users to feast and drink back in our hometown. Where were my biological parents at this time? Still searching for me, weathering wind and sun, crying until their tears ran dry, their temples turning white. They even became penniless searching for me, sometimes so hungry they had to find food in the trash. Their son wasn't killed by me, but my parents and my brother died because of them. If they hadn't stolen me back then, I could have had a happy family. I still would have gotten into college, still would have worked hard. They didn't give me these things, they were only able to get these things because of me. The comments in the live stream were flying by. There were still some overly compassionate people who felt sorry for Brenda Miller, seeing her crying like that. I think her parents still love her, it's a love-hate kind of thing. What her mom said makes sense, if they didn't love her, they definitely wouldn't have sent her to school. Agreed, my parents had a preference for sons and didn't want to send me to school, only my brother. But later I still opened a small shop on my own. Her mom is hateful, but still somewhat understandable. But the majority of internet users were rational. Are you guys crazy? Some people are actually sympathizing with human traffickers? You only see this old woman crying, but what do you know about what the girl's biological parents are going through? I know, I'm a friend of the girl's parents. I heard her brother died in a car accident, her mom jumped off a building 10 years ago, and her dad froze to death on the streets a few years ago. That's so tragic, I'm really going to cry. These two deserve to die. If it weren't for their abduction, Ashley could have had a happy and perfect family. Human traffickers deserve to die, and people who sympathize with human traffickers deserve to die too. Seeing people speak up for her, Brenda Miller's eyes lit up. She had a flattering smile on her face and shook my leg, which she was hugging. That's right, Ashley, if we didn't love you, why would we have named you Ashley? Now that your father is dead, can you please, for the sake of the many years we raised you, not let me get arrested, Ashley? I kicked her away and looked up at the police. Wait a minute, I have surveillance footage here of them plotting to murder me to steal my scholarship money. As soon as I finished speaking, another video was projected on the big screen. In the video, Brenda Miller and George Miller were lying in bed, cursing at me. That little bitch, why hasn't she transferred $10 million to our account yet? And she doesn't even come home. I call her so many times every day, but she refuses to come back. George Miller lit a cigarette and took a puff, looking impatient. We shouldn't have agreed to let her work outside in the first place. We should have married her off to someone in the village early on, so we could keep her tied to us tightly. That dead girl has grown up, her wings have hardened, and she's hard to control. Brenda Miller didn't know what she was thinking, but she slapped her thigh. If she dies, the money will be ours, right? I remember she bought herself a huge amount of insurance. When the time comes, the millions in insurance money will be ours. Do we even need the old Wong family's $400,000 bride price? George Miller looked at Brenda Miller a few times, then laughed. You old woman are pretty smart. But how are we going to kill her? We'll be finished if we get caught. Brenda Miller's eyes were full of sinister viciousness, and she gritted her teeth hatefully. She cursed our son to death, causing our precious son to fall into the river and drown. Then let's let her fall into the river and drown too, to pay for our precious son's life. Even now, hearing these words again still sends chills down my spine. 20 years, you'd have feelings even for a dog, right? They actually wanted me dead for my money. From that day on, they coaxed me to go back every day with various reasons, from playing the emotional card to later threats and inducements. But I didn't fall for it. Until one day, George Miller was diagnosed with cancer, and the treatment cost $1 million. Brenda Miller called me so many times, but I didn't go back. They got angry and came to my workplace to find me, asking me to go back and get money to treat my dad's illness. To avoid them, I took the money and went abroad to play. I came back after playing for half a year. In this half year, they had no money for treatment, and they couldn't find me anywhere. Even if they started a fundraiser online, they could only raise $200,000 or $300,000, which wasn't enough for treatment at all. I knew George Miller wouldn't live long, so I returned to the country some time ago and released the news of me in the shopping mall. Brenda Miller was rolling around on the ground, acting like a spoiled child. Maybe she knew she was done for, and started emitting a series of sharp, piercing screams. Seeing the police about to pull her away, she struggled and ran over to beg me. "No matter what, I raised you for 20 years, Ashley. The kindness of raising is greater than anything. I'm your mother. Mom knows she was wrong. Mom really knows she was wrong. Your dad is dead, and now I'm all alone. I don't want your money anymore. Can I just go back to the village? Ashley! Please, Mom is begging you." I didn't say a word the whole time, just watched her being taken away by the police with a cold face. Seeing that there was no chance of turning things around, Brenda Miller completely dropped the act and started cursing at me with a ferocious face. "You little bitch who cursed my son to death. You and your family deserve to die. I'll tell you the truth, your parents once found us in our local town. I had someone swindle all their money. They were such idiots, believing everything we said. They deserved to die. And you deserve to die too. You cursed my son to death and cursed my husband to death. I won't let you go even if I die, you bitch. You unfilial, cold-blooded wolf, you'll be punished sooner or later." I closed my eyes, suddenly feeling relieved all over. I turned my head to look at the audience. Those who were originally shouting and cursing at me now all had expressions of sympathy and guilt. Someone wanted to rush up and apologize to me, but I shook my head and quickly left the scene. I had to go find Aunt Carol. Back then, Aunt Carol did a lot to help my parents find me. I heard that later her husband threatened her, saying he would divorce her if she used the family's money to find me again. I gave Aunt Carol $1 million. I was lying to Brenda Miller. I actually won $50 million in the lottery. Aunt Carol received the money with tears in her eyes and hugged me for a long time. She told me that my parents had owed a lot of people money over the years while searching for me, and if possible, this $1 million should be used to pay them back first. I told Aunt Carol to accept it with peace of mind, and then I went door to door to pay back all the money my parents had borrowed. I couldn't fulfill my filial duties by their side, but at least I could let them leave this world with a clear conscience. Aunt Carol took me to sweep my parents' graves. Seeing my parents' kind faces on the tombstones, I couldn't help but cry out loud. Later, I stayed in my parents' house for a few years, as if I was accompanying them. The next time I heard news about Brenda Miller, it was that she had been sentenced. The things she had done were serious, and she would probably spend the rest of her life in prison. Even if she was released early for good behavior, she would starve to death because she couldn't make a living. This day,